And welcome into PressBox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. With me is Gary Stein, my Thursday night co-host and longtime friend. Gary, how are you?
Good to go, Stanley. How about you?
Good, good. Hey, we've got a terrific guest tonight. She is not yet Dr. Courtney Coppersmith, but she is well on her way to being there. And what Courtney Coppersmith is, amongst other things, is a very, very talented softball pitcher for the UMBC softball team. And she's also a two-time academic All-American. And she's also about to endeavor upon her doctorate work in the area of chemistry. Is that going to be at UMBC, Courtney?
Thought it will be, Stan.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to get right to it because we could certainly do 30 minutes about all the great things that go on in Courtney Coppersmith's life. But you've chosen to be very outspoken and out front of a battle you've had for a long time with anxiety and depression, mental health, if you will. Why have you chosen to be so out front about it? And I'm not judging that at all. I'm just asking why you've chosen that route.
I think as we've been seeing it lately, obviously it's coming up more and more, especially in college athletes of all levels, all the way in NAIA, all the way up to Division I. And it's just when I was outspoken about it my freshman year, and I continue to talk about it now, like I know how every single one of those people felt because that's how I was. And when you have somebody else to help relate to it, it makes it a little bit easier and it makes you feel a little less like, oh, well, I'm crazy because I'm thinking all these things. No, there's a lot of us that are thinking it, and it's good to have a lot of people behind you.
I'm wondering, you started to talk about it as a freshman. Did you feel the urge to do that before you really got established as being the player you were?
So if we're being honest, when I first was outspoken about it, I wasn't trying to be. So I was playing with MLB RBI, which is a program sponsored obviously by MLB, and it was a team that I played on, and we had to write an essay for the Breaking Barriers contest, which is for Jackie Robinson, because he broke a lot of barriers for MLB, and we had to submit something. So I was like, you know what? Might as well write about it because it's something that I had been experiencing and nobody knew about it, and then it kind of exploded from there. So
okay, all right. Well, Gary brought this to our attention, and I'll let him take over with a couple questions.
Right. Well, I know about Courtney, Stan, as you probably know. I do a lot with UMBC. I do the college basketball play-by-play, lacrosse play-by-play. I host the Gritties every year. At the end of the year, the athletic awards, and Courtney cleans up as far as those are concerned. So congratulations on that. Courtney, I just wanted to kind of let our viewers know a little bit in context about your accomplishments between the white lines before we get to outside the white lines. And this is a very accomplished young woman here at UMBC. She's a three-time America East Conference Pitcher of the Year. She was just selected as the ECAC.
Only three times?
Only three times. She was just selected the ECAC Pitcher of the Year. That's the East Coast Athletic Conference. And as mentioned,
only once. But only
I
once.
know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Three-time America East All-Academic, two-time Academic All-American, as you just said. And then the accomplishments on the field, so I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, because when we talk about your battles off the field, every time I see you and every time I read about you, you either have a smile on your face, you have just made another amazing accomplishment. Like what can't you do, right, is the question when I keep hearing or reading, and yet you have this battle. So it doesn't, to the regular person, it just doesn't mix that would be happening to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something that I think a lot of people sorry, that's the dog. When you get, you start having all of these accomplishments and things like that, I'm one of those people that I put a lot of expectation on myself. And then obviously there's the expectation of, okay, well, you you did well, so you kind of have to keep doing well. And I think that's something that like most people don't always recognize, that, okay, yeah, just because like somebody does well doesn't mean that they're not that they're not doing well off the field as well. Like obviously, I feel like a lot of us student athletes, we do a very good job of putting on a face. Because we're competitors, we don't want to seem like we're weak. We don't want anybody thinking anything like that of us, just because that's just how we are. That's how we were raised. That's the lifestyle that we chose. But yeah, I mean, I'm a perfectionist, or at least I try to be, and I try to push myself as much as I possibly can. And I think that also it doesn't help when there's like, okay, well, you are expected to do well, and that I also have expectations for myself.
So I wanted to ask, you said that you got your voice, you found your voice basically when you were a freshman, you started talking about these issues. But when did you kind of realize that these issues began?
So I mean, I feel like most people can relate to like over the years, obviously you go through elementary school and then you get to like middle school where there's a lot of tension because you're teenagers. And I feel like most people, if you ask them if they were bullied throughout their elementary school years, through their high school, middle school years, I feel like a lot of people would admit to that and realize, okay, or even if they didn't realize it then, like they'd be able to realize it now, like, okay, looking back, yeah, that probably wasn't the greatest thing in the world to have to go through, but you just didn't think anything of it. So obviously there was like things like that throughout all of the years. Obviously I personally experienced different type of bullying in person with people that just continued to harass me. But like, again, that was a different time. That was when I was younger. So you don't really realize how much it like builds up over time until you finally reach that like breaking point where there's no going back.
I'm just curious. I lived in Durham, North Carolina for a few years, and I got the chance to cover Mike Krzyzewski for a couple of years. And I remember one particular, Gary's probably heard this once or twice from me, but he was talking about how parents always ask the wrong question when their kids get finished sports. The question should be, did you have fun?
Yep.
But most parents, he said, their first question is, how did you do? I'm
That's a good one.
wondering if that was part of this, not meaning to cast any aspersions on your parents or parenting, but was there pressure on you as an athlete to that doing well was almost more important than having fun?
Oh, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I know my dad would admit it too. He was very, very hard on me when I was younger, and he gave me that perfectionist attitude. He gave me that, okay, you work your butt off and you're going to get where you want to go. And that has helped make me into the person that I am and have the work ethic. But I mean, there were definitely times a lot when I was younger where we would get in a lot of arguments about, okay, well, you didn't do this well, you didn't do this well, and everything like that. And slowly as I decided, like as I grew up more and more, like we were able to like stop butting heads as much as all of it, because obviously he was very competitive. He was like he was 3-sport athlete in high school. So like
Right.
athletics was a big thing for him, and he obviously instilled that into me. And I feel like obviously parents don't mean it, but of course, like at the end of the day, like sometimes they live through their kids and don't always necessarily realize how much that like puts on the kid. I know a lot
Yep.
of people that I grew up playing with ended up not being able to play softball anymore for the simple fact of like, hey, I don't love the sport anymore, you guys kind of killed that for me. But thankfully, like I still love it. I know that like everything my dad did and my parents did in general, every coach that I had that was super hard on me, like obviously it was hard mentally and it killed some people like in the head with the sport that they love. But thankfully, I was able to persevere through that and still be where I am now. But it definitely like you think about it, and I think that's like kind of what led a little bit to my personal statement for my PhD program that I applied for, because I was always told when I was younger, whether they meant it or not, like you're never going to be good enough. And that is the opening statement to my personal statement, is you are never going to be good enough. And that's something that I've always tried to prove them wrong, and had that attitude of doing it that way instead of, okay, well, there's no point, like there's no point in fighting. You're never going to be good enough. No, like prove them wrong. And I guess that's like where my attitude kind of switched a little bit of like, okay, well, instead of it letting it impact me, I tried to like be proactive and like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to do it every single chance that I can.
So I'm wondering, what bothers you, the anxiety or depression comes on, can you see it a mile away? Does it feel like or it just overwhelms you suddenly? You wake up one day and you're in a blue period.
Yeah, so I mean, I've definitely had over the past, like, COVID definitely didn't help with a bunch of things. You're
Right.
inside a lot or doing online class, like kind of like this, like a Zoom meeting, everything like that. And some days like you would feel it coming on, other days it's like, okay, well, it can just happen. Like you can be perfectly fine and then, oh, never mind. You thought you were gonna go do something. No, you're not. You're just gonna lay in bed, watch TikTok, lay in bed, do something else, and just enjoy, like, kind of, I guess, what makes you feel at least somewhat slightly happy. But there's definitely been times where it just comes out of nowhere and I'm like, before I just kind of let that impact me, let me like stay in bed, stayed away from people, and now I try to at least, like, hey, let's try to get a friend over, let's go for a drive, let's listen to music, even if it's cry, like sad music to cry, like do something so you're not by yourself.
And do you find that the disappearance of it or getting out of the funk or depression, does that happen just as quickly as it comes on,
Oh, no.
or is that more gradual?
Sometimes it can be like, sometimes, like I said, if I like start driving with one of my friends and or have them drive while I cry, stuff like that. Sometimes it'll like get a little bit easier. And then there's other times where it's like, okay, it could be a couple of days that you just feel down. And it's not so much like that it keeps you from doing stuff, but you definitely don't always enjoy everything that you're doing, or you're like, you might be in a social setting with a bunch of people and you're like a little pull yourself away. But it, for me, like now I've tried to not let that stop me from doing anything and try to like, okay, well, this isn't great, but I shouldn't be by myself. I shouldn't, like, I should still go out and live life, because at the end of the day, no matter how difficult it gets, like you only, like, it sounds weird, but like you only live once
Yep.
and you can only like have these experiences one time. And yeah, there's going to be times where you physically just can't, like you need to lay in, like you need to be away from everybody, you need to just go on a drive by yourself, you need to do something completely away from everybody. But I've learned that that's not always the best thing to do.
Let me stay with that line of questioning for just a minute, and then I want to talk about something else, Courtney. I'm sure you do a lot of self-analysis, like after you go through a bout of depression or something and you come out of it. Do you ever analyze like what actually triggered it, or is it impossible to know? It's different every time. You just have no control over it at all.
Yeah, so I'd say that sometimes like it's definitely difficult. Like you could have like a memory pop up of something that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that could make you sad. Like there was one day specifically, and it was actually this past year, we I forget what game it was. I had to call my coach and I said, Coach, I'm gonna be late because I my mom had sent me a song that had come on, and most people don't know, but I lost two of my grandparents like within a 3 month period of time. And one of the songs that actually played at her funeral, like my grandma's funeral, played on the radio. So my mom, without like knowing how bad it was going to, like, trigger like all those emotions, sent me a video with it. And so I literally sat in the parking lot above our field crying for about 20 minutes. I had one of, like, I called him, I said, can you please send one of like, can you send Kaya or Ashley up to my car so I could sit with somebody so I could literally cry. And like, so it's like stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, it gets you like, that's not like, most people wouldn't like classify that as depression, but it's like, okay, there's getting sad and the snap of the fingers, like it's all a mental issue, it's all mental health, and it's all okay, well, hey, I can't come down to the field right now because I am not doing well. And I know like he's very, very, like our coach is very good about that. He's very good about trying to allow us, like, hey, if you're not doing well, please take the time that you need, because he's realized like how much coaches, they might not realize it, how much they have an impact on this like whole idea of like our mentality, our mental health, like, because they obviously, it's the same thing with like that parental like viewpoint, like our coach looks at us like we're his kids and he wants us to do the best that we possibly can and puts a lot of pressure on us. So obviously, yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So there's a lot.
Courtney, have you ever missed a game because of this?
Thankfully I have not. Like I said, I was just late to warm-ups that day. I got my crying out. I still wasn't great during warm-ups, but the one thing that especially like my grandma, she never wanted anything to affect playing. Like playing is normally my escape. Playing, going to the gym, going for a run, things like that. Just trying to be proactive about doing stuff. Typically, like for me at least, helps because okay, well, even if I'm sad, I'm still gonna try to make myself better during that time.
I'm curious the performance level that you're at. I mean, I saw that you pitched a no-hitter at one time. Did pitching a no-hitter allow an afterglow for you for a few days? Or did you remember that the previous game you had given up 3 hits?
I mean, so obviously, like I said, I analyze like my own performance probably harder than anybody else other than maybe my dad, but that's how our relationship is. He wants me to be as best as I possibly can be, and of course I want to do the same thing. But obviously like, it's a great feeling when okay, you have a no-hitter, it's amazing, but I always got to look at that next game. Okay, yeah, that just because that happened in that last game, the next game it could be completely different. Like you could get hit up, you could give up a bunch of runs, and it's not necessarily like, hey, yeah, that's amazing, and like not taking anything away from that, but there's always another game after that.
Now, I've never really gone public with things about my mental health, but I've been on antidepressants for a long, long time. I battled depression. Are you on chemicals for your depression? And I also wonder if you see somebody to talk to, because I did for a long time as well.
So at one point I was seeing a therapist back in freshman year in the fall, spring type of thing. But for me, that's just not for me, especially unless like I guess I don't like talking. It sounds weird. I don't like talking to strangers about it, but here we are. um,
Well, Gary's not a stranger.
no, he's not. But but yeah, so for me it felt a lot easier to try to start relying on like friends, because for me the hardest part like at the beginning, and like this is just how I am in life in general, is like I hate talking about my feelings personally because I don't ever want to be a burden on somebody else, but I always know that if anybody has a problem, I hope that they know that they can come to me because I'm always going to be there. I'm going to be a shoulder to cry on. I'm going to be the driver if you need to go for an hour drive to cry. Like whatever you physically need, like I'm going to try to be there. But I never wanted to be that person that had to go to somebody. And I know that I have, at least now. Sorry, the dog's playing with a
That's
balloon,
okay.
and it's gonna pop.
Zooms are very popular with dogs and cats.
Yes,
and cats.
he is all over the place. But no, like I said, so it's having those friends, those close friends, those close-knit ones. Like we all are gonna have our issues. But that's what they're there for. That's what your friends are there for. That's what even your family at times, even though I try to avoid that one, even though they hate that. Okay, he wants.
He can be up there. He can be up there and be your friend. We're talking, by the way, with Courtney Coppersmith, the UMBC softball pitcher extraordinaire, student extraordinaire, and she's been very candid with us about some ongoing anxiety and depression issues she tackles and tackles it straight on. I'm wondering, because of your feelings, are you empathetic with teammates and friends where you may know that they're about to go through something and you've reached out to them almost proactively? Or do you
Yes.
wait for somebody to come to you?
I will also, like I said, I of course want like everybody to know that I'm always there for them, whether they know it or not. Like I will always be able to come. This is, by the way, this is my therapy puppy. He's
Yep.
just
Yeah,
acting
yeah.
like
What's his
insane.
name?
This is Jasper.
Hey,
He's
Jasper. How you doing,
acting
Jasper?
like a
Bring him up.
psycho.
Bring him up.
Bring him up.
Come here.
Hey, Jasper.
Come on, Jasper.
This is Jasper. He's trying
the
to
therapy
currently bite
pup.
my hand.
Yeah.
No, so he's one of our trainer's dogs that we have at school, and anytime that like we need him, he's classified as being our therapy dog, because we'll get to take him for a couple of days, or if she needs like a break from the dog, like we always try to like help her out. That is my hand. But yeah, he's just acting a little crazy right now, so
It's all right.
I was
He
at
loves
work, he didn't like that.
he loves him some Courtney Coppersmith.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
he does. He
Courtney,
definitely does that.
Courtney, let me ask you one softball question and then one off the
Yes.
field question.
Yes.
You know, I was going over your stats, and you had a really good freshman year back in 2019. 18-15 was your record. Your ERA was under 3. You know, solid, right? And then 2020, the COVID year, obviously everything just went kablooey right there. But the last 2 years, 21 and 22, you have just done extraordinary things. The record is 30-9. The ERA combined is under 1. It's basically
Under
2 strikeouts,
one,
under
under
1.
one.
The strikeouts are basically 2 per inning, almost 2 per inning. I mean, these are just other world type of statistics.
She must be
What
taking
happened?
steroids. She's taking steroids.
I promise
Clearly.
I'm not.
What happened to you between your freshman year and between 2019 and 2021 that your game elevated to the level that it's at?
Well, most people don't know actually. I know like at school they do, but I had to get surgery after freshman year. I had a torn labrum and an impingement in my hip. So I had hip surgery in August. It was August 21st, 2019. And then I was officially cleared to start pitching in December. So it was a 5-month recovery. And then obviously COVID, like I was ready to come back from COVID, but then like COVID happened. But so I had to like work my butt off and my tail off because I literally started back at ground zero. Thankfully, I had great physical therapists that were able to get me strong enough before college, like before the surgery. And then they worked with me every single day to help get me even stronger. But I learned from them that I like had to continue to push myself and push myself even more because I had those expectations of doing well from 2019, like doing everything that I did that year. And I just had hip surgery. So now I have to like, okay, well, I have to work even harder because I did so good then. And I only want to do better because that's how I am as a person. And then obviously COVID happened, got sent home. Thankfully, I was still working. So I worked at Walmart. And because of that, I actually was able to still go to the gym because my mom was in the in the healthcare. So we were already exposed to it at work. So she's like, well, you might as well just keep going to the gym. So I went to the gym every single day after work. I was throwing in the evenings because I wasn't really allowed to see friends since I was working at Walmart. So it was just doing a lot of things like that of trying to focus and just put as much time as I could between, okay, well, I had surgery then and then trying to get better for the season then.
So
It sounds like, can I just jump in and ask one question about that? It sounds like you had an extra amount of time to heal from your surgery than you would have had there not been COVID.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that
well, I
sounds
think
like it
that's
allowed
true.
you to get it really back together again.
Yeah, but the other thing that I picked up on that story, Stan, and Courtney, please let me know if I'm right, is when you said you had after the hip surgery, right? Oh, well, first of all, the labrum was in your pitching arm.
It was in my pitching hip, my left hip.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say you had to start from ground zero, are you saying that you had to relearn how to walk and how to how to do everything all over again?
So thankfully I didn't have to like, you know how like everybody like when you get like hip surgery and get like and it's like really bad, they just had to like shave down both the ball and the socket and then fix everything. But like for the first 3 weeks I was on crutches and they couldn't put me in a wheelchair because it was like bad angle and whatnot. So I was literally like I'd walk with like the crutch and then like just like my big toe on the ground, and that's how I walked for 3 weeks. And then I was slowly able to start walking again. So not only, like I said, when I say ground zero, like I had to like be able to start walking again. I had to start lifting. I had to start doing all of that. Like my weights were back all the way back down to probably where they were like in high school because I physically wasn't able to do stuff, at least with that leg. Like I was still working out. I was still doing upper body. I was still doing stuff with like my other leg, but I really had to get that left leg back up to where it was, where everything else was.
Amazing. Let me give you 5 names, Courtney, that I'm sure you're very familiar with. These 5 young athletes, Division I athletes, have committed suicide, have died by suicide since March of 2022. Sarah Schultz, Katie Meyer, Jaden Hill, Robert Martin, who I know you know personally, and Lauren Bennett, or Lauren Burnett, actually, from James Madison softball. I know that you know about them. I know you know some of them personally. My question, and it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I just want you to talk for a minute about the pressures of being a D1 athlete and a scholar at the same time. And could that have been you at one time?
So, I'm just gonna apologize. The dog's gonna bark in the back. There must be a dog walking across. So if you hear him, I'm sorry.
No
But
apology necessary.
no. So I know, like obviously, as you mentioned, those are 5 of the names that have happened since March 2020. But I know we did a game up at Stony Brook after the news came out about Lauren, where we had a lot more names of the individuals that have happened, and because there's just so many of them. But I think obviously, like, it sounds so scary to say, but that could have been me. Freshman year, I was in. Not many people know I was in a really bad car accident in 2019 during December. I actually totaled my car. I hit a tree. I slid on black ice, hit a tree, took out 3 mailboxes, and then hit another tree. And I walked out of the car, and I was perfectly fine.
Mm.
I had a couple bruises. I had a mild concussion, but that's something that, like, if I was in the mindset that I would have been in right after the season, like, I would have been so angry that I was fine when I walked out of that car. And for me, after everything had come out, after all of that, after talking to people about things, like, I was just grateful that I was alive. And I feel like that's like how I wish, obviously it sucks, but like, I wish people can see that, like, you can be at the darkest of the dark times, you can be down in the bottom of a pit, and there's always going to hopefully be one person or something that can get you out of there and change your mindset entirely. But obviously, the pressures of being a D1 athlete, you're expected to be great on the field. You're expected to be top tier on the field. You're expected to be able to do everything during the week, lifts, conditioning, practices, but you're also supposed to still be a student. And I know obviously most schools have hard programs, whether you're, especially if you're in the STEM programs, any college degree, like, you still have to go to classes, you're still missing class, you're getting up super early in the morning, you have stuff all throughout the day, and then you might not even be sleeping because you're doing homework, you're writing papers, you're studying for exams. There's just so many things that I don't think people realize are on. Like, you also have to make food. Like, there's so many of us that I, like, right now, like, I don't eat 3 meals a day like I'm supposed to because there's just not enough time. Like, if you don't bring food with you, if you don't prepare that, like, some nights you just don't even want to make food. Like, you might not even like want to go drive and get food. So there are just so many things that, like, in a day-to-day life of a student athlete, people don't realize that there's so much. Like, some of us could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, be going until literally midnight, and then have to get up the next morning at 5 again. And
I,
just those pressures just build up and build up, and like, you burn out. And that's how I think so many of us are, is you get to that point where you start burning out, you start not being able to be as good as you want to be, and then that just obviously attacks your mental health. You're not sleeping, you're not doing as well on exams, you're not doing as well in class as you want to, and then you might not be doing well on the field, and it's just like a double whammy.
I want to pick up where that ends and talk a little bit about, this is coming up to your 5th year. You're a 5th year senior, you're doing your graduate work to get a PhD in chemistry.
Yep.
And you want to do chemistry research, chemical
Yep.
research,
Yep.
pharmaceutical research. But I just wanted to ask you, sports has played such a huge part of your life. I hear how it puts pressure on you, but by the same token, do you see your life after college including some type of competition in sports, or will that just be like, I'm glad that's
No.
over with?
Right now I have probably like 15 girls that I'm like blessed to be able to give lessons to and share my love of the sport with. So I think those girls are always going to be there, especially, I mean, I'm here for another 5 years. So to finish the doctorate and become Dr. Coppersmith. But so I'll have those girls, and even if it's not me personally being involved in a sport like softball, something like that, I'm definitely going to try to at least show, hey, this is what your love can get for you. This is what hard work can get for you. But at the end of the day, you need to have fun. But obviously, I mean, I'm a competitive person, so I can't say that I'm not going to do something. I like going to the gym. I like lifting. It's one of my escapes, and I foresee that being something that I will stick with. Obviously, there's certain things that I do want to do eventually. Like, I want to do Spartan races. I want to do like a half marathon. Like, there's things that like I haven't been able to do that are challenges that I think would be amazing to like finally get to do after I don't have to worry about okay, well, maybe if you get hurt, probably not the best decision.
You're an amazing young woman, and I got to tell you something. I don't know what way you move, but I think you'd be an incredible mother. I
Thank
can
you.
just tell you, I can just feel it. You're a force of nature. Gary, do you have another question for Courtney Coppersmith, or
Yeah, I just have a comment. I
Yeah.
could see you on American Ninja Warrior.
Okay, so I do, that is like a goal of mine. I would love to get there at some point, but my upper body strength is not good. I also had an injury freshman year where I dislocated this elbow, which is like my non-dominant one, and they told me that I was never going to be able to straighten it again. I was never going to be able to like fully bend it. Like I can do everything as I used to be able to do. They also told me I was never going to be able to do a pull-up, and my max right now is 5, so we're still working on it. So maybe like by the time I'm like 27, maybe I can take a shot at it.
Okay.
Probably doubt it, but it would be amazing. It
I'm
would be a
gonna
lot of
keep
fun.
up with you. I'm
You
gonna
know
keep
what?
up with you. I want to
You
see
know what
that.
I think when Gary Stein takes a night off, I got a new co-host, Courtney
Oh,
Coppersmith.
absolutely. That would
Yeah.
be fun.
Okay. Hey,
Perfect,
listen, thank
perfect.
you very much for coming on and taking
Absolutely.
this very serious matter, but being upfront about the issues you've struggled with. And you're just a remarkable young woman, I can tell.
Thank you.
Totally
for having
agree.
me.
Courtney, thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
All right, that's Courtney Coppersmith. I was remiss at the beginning of the show. I took the time to explain to Courtney how I read a sponsor read at the end of the show, but I didn't read it at the beginning of the show. So my apologies to the Costas Inn. I'm going to read it twice, basically. And that's the Costas Inn. Everybody in Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is one of the great places in all the town to stop by, eat your steamed crabs, your crab soup, crab cakes, steaks, whatever specials they have. But during the pandemic, they realized that a lot of people weren't always going to be comfortable going out to eat, and they stepped up their game on curbside carryout. The Costas Inn, CostasInn.com is the website, and check the website out. Order your food over the phone, 410-477-1975. You pick up the food. They always have it ready for you. It's always packaged nicely. You don't have to worry about your crab soup, your cream of crab soup pouring out over your lasagna or whatever, or your spare ribs mixing with something else. They always pack everything immaculately. Gary knows what I'm talking about. He's been to
Totally.
the Costas Inn.
Great place.
4100 North Point Boulevard. Tell him Stan and Gary sent you. Again, the website is the Costas Inn, CostasInn.com. I'm sorry, it's the CostasInn.com is the website. Check them out. Give them a call for their carry-out service. Gary, you and I will be back. I just wanted to let you know, whatever we decide to do, we're working on a couple things. We're going to do it on next Wednesday night because there's going to be I believe there's going to be some big news on the soccer front
FIFA making their announcements.
on Thursday, I believe.
Right, exactly.
We're going to aim, and I have Terry Hazeltine lined up for a week from Thursday. So on the 23rd of June, Terry Hazeltine will join us. All right.
Sounds good.
Whether the news is good, great, or we'll have Terry on to talk about it. He's always upfront about things with us. All right. So
Thank
it's a
you, Stanley.
pleasure, and thank you for bringing Courtney to our attention. She was
Great young woman.
great young woman. All right.
Mhm.
All right. For Gary Stein and Courtney Coppersmith, I'm Stan the Fan. Over and out. We'll see you Monday night. Ross Grimsley and I at 7:00. We'll talk about grassroots baseball, a book by photographer Gene Fruth and Jeff Idelson on baseball on Route 66. See you then. Bye.